But you must have one. Come on, you must have one to
Yeah,
share with us.
I've got one that was back in September last year, out in New Mexico in Albuquerque. Um,
That's
so it
probably
was a
worse than Uzbekistan.
so it was a 15K, and usually all the USTA Pro Series are great tournaments, very well run. Um, but so I went out to Baylor, which was my college, for a week and a half of practice before that tournament. Playing well, everything was ready, and about 2 days before I flew out, I got a notification or email from the ITF saying venue change, from outdoors to indoors. I said, okay, fine. No explanation, but no problem. So I turned up to the site, had 2 days of practice indoors, and this was at the University of New Mexico. Um, so yeah, and the indoors were sort of like two covered bubbles, like three courts on each side, um, and they were like playing on glass. They were the fastest indoor courts I've probably ever played on. But I didn't mind it. I had a couple of days to prepare on it. The only bad thing was the lighting, which was incredibly dark. You almost needed night vision goggles to see the tennis ball. But it came to the time for sign-in, signing for qualies, and the head referee said, "Oh no, we're playing outside now." I'm thinking, like, what is going on? Like, we've practiced 2 days indoors. Now you're telling your players at sign-in the tournament is moving back outdoors onto courts that were apparently not suitable for the tournament. So then this is about 5:30 p.m. So everyone's scrambling to try and get outdoor court time because no one's here outdoors because the courts were not suitable. Um, so yeah, we were all scrambling around the booking sheet to get 20 minutes, 15 minutes on the courts before we play our first round qualies the next day. And yeah, we get to the courts, and basically they were relaying all of their six outdoor courts, at the university, and there was something that went wrong, massively wrong with the courts. Basically, I don't know if it was to do with weather or whatever, but you get sort of bubbles under certain
Yep.
hard courts. This was over 100% of the court surface. So the whole court had a pocket of air underneath. So it was one, it wasn't bouncing.
Wow.
Um, and occasionally the ball would just hit a dead spot and roll. Um, you could feel the court moving underneath your feet. So it was quite dangerous, if you were to sort of catch your ankle or side of the shoe, and go over. And everyone is thinking, what is going on? Like, we can't play on this. Um, so yeah, nothing happened. Players were complaining, for the next like sort of couple days, saying like this is dangerous, etc. etc. The tournament then got sort of industrial leaf blowers and cut open, um, sort of holes at the end of each court, at each side of the court. So they had about four, and there were only three courts available because they stopped working because they were in such bad condition. So during the main draw matches, they had these leaf blowers constantly going on, which were extremely loud. It sounded like you were outside at an airport. So the poor old umpires and the players, like, you couldn't hear the umpires call the balls out or the score, let alone you're at the back of the court going to your towel next to a leaf blower. Um, and also the reason why we moved back outdoors was because the lighting wasn't, sort of ITF standard. So the referee was like, the umpires won't be able to see in here, which was true. I did think there's no way they're going to be able to see. It was that dark indoors. But anyway, yeah, a lot of the players felt that the tournament should have been cancelled and players should have had, sort of money reimbursed, but that didn't happen. And you know, a lot of us players came together at that tournament and wrote an email to the ITF and everything. And I ended up putting a tweet out which went extremely viral. I think it's close to 1 million views right now. And I
Is
didn't
this the one
expect
where
it
you
to.
bounced the ball?
Correct. Yeah. So it wasn't me in the videos, but it was all of us got together to to put it out there about the realities of the
Yeah.
ITF circuit. Now this is a very very extreme case and probably the only one. But the fact that players had spent a lot of money to come and play this tournament and the courts are not playable in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, I put that tweet out and it blew up overnight. I had the likes of Stan Wawrinka retweet it, Daria Katakina, and so many other people. And that, like I said, it wasn't my intention for it to blow up like that, but just to raise some awareness of some of the things that tennis players on the future circuit go through. Now, I don't really want to get into too many like expenses of that week, but I lost a lot of money, and nothing was done. And it was the same for other people. And I was meant to play another week in the States after that, but my head was so gone, and I was like, I don't want to spend any more money. I have to come home. This was the worst experience, or one of the worst experiences I've ever had on the ITF circuit. So yeah, that's probably the worst experience I've had.
You could have volleyed.
I could have. I was struggling in the altitude as well.
Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, I don't. It is quite extreme, but you're hearing it all the time, right? We're hearing all the time that, balls are being changed, balls aren't. I mean, like, look at the practice balls that are being given. Practicing with like balls that don't have any hair on. And we've talked a lot about it, and we did a live show recently in London, and it's this tennis is caught in this space because it's the individual nature of tennis leads it to being very entrepreneurial and full of hope, and it's why I mean, like, it's why I stood in the locker room crying with Harry Haliavara and Henry Patton when they won Wimbledon because of everything that they've been through and tennis players have been through. And it's why it brings so much emotion to us because it's special. But the flip side of that is the cowboy nature of the sport as well. And it's if it goes completely professional in certain ways, you could there's talk of these new tours and these, less players having the opportunity and creating a more commercially viable tour. But then we lose those stories. We lose the Billy Harris stories. We lose the Lulu Sun story. So we don't want to. But at the same time, there has to be a standard that's adhered to, because ultimately the effort, and I've seen it, the effort that you guys are putting in compared to the effort of top 100 players is the same, and one of you, it might be you, it might be somebody else, but one, two, three, four of you that are playing these events are going to find your way through, and we've got to treat people and everyone with the same respect.